Former President Donald Trump could announce his vice presidential pick as early as this week, possibly ahead of Thursday's debate. Now, this is according to four people familiar with the situation: J.D. Vance, Marco Rubio, and even uh, Senator from South Carolina, Tim Scott, have all been auditioning for the role. And today on Fox and Friends, they were asked to come on and to bring their spouses as a part of their show of interest in the job and as a part of their performative actions that Donald Trump needs to see before he will indicate or tell the world who will be his vice presidential running mate. And after House Republicans have been facing competitive primaries for weeks, it's now a Democrat who could be in trouble today. The primary in New York's 16th district has attracted the most ad spending ever for a House primary, with Democratic squad member Representative Jamal Bowman facing scores of attacks and a really difficult challenger in a county executive by the name of George Latimer. We are tracking that race and waiting for some numbers to come in from that 16th congressional district. And as soon as we get those numbers, we will update you on what's going to happen to Representative Jamal Bowman. And on Thursday, Joe Biden and Donald Trump will each step on stage for the first debate in the presidential cycle. And according to pundits, they both have glaring political liabilities. The 81-year-old Biden faces concerns about his age and sharpness of his mind. Despite the fact that Trump is approximately the same age, voters aren't as concerned about Trump's age. However, they are very concerned about his plans to seek revenge against his political enemies if he is, in fact, elected as president. And on the second anniversary of the Supreme Court's Dobbs decision, women who sued the state of Texas in a high-profile lawsuit over exceptions to its abortion ban say their experiences have made abortion a defining issue for them heading into the November election. And at least 40 million Americans may be regularly targeted and fed disinformation within Black online spaces by a host of sources across social media, fueling false information around the election. Now, this is according to a new poll that came out today, and conservative commentators like Candace Owens are among the most influential distributors of false information. Also, places like The Breakfast Club, a nationally syndicated radio show, and platforms geared towards the Black manosphere, like the Fresh and Fit podcast. Also, those are places where lots of disinformation is disseminated on a daily basis. Statements like women not having the intelligence of men are made on those programs regularly, and guests are allowed to share this kind of harmful and false information without any pushback from the host. And advocate says Shakespearean tragedy is unfolding in Florida's arts community after Governor Ron DeSantis' $32 million line item veto left nothing, yes, zero grant dollars from the state available for the arts. Newly minted State Senator Carlos Guillermo Smith said he's never, ever seen anything like this happen, i.e., never seen the arts deprived of all funding. Many arts groups were recommending $77 million be set aside by the state for arts programs, only to learn that that amount ended up being zero. This is the news of the day, and this is Areva Martin in real time, and I'm your host, Areva Martin. This is your one-stop destination for today's trending news, expert analysis, and my unfiltered opinions. And this is hour 2 of Areva Martin in real time, and this is the hour where we go deep, where we dig behind those headlines and bring you those stories and those people that have people talking. And today, it's Will Smith. Will Smith is having a comeback. Remember the slap that was heard around the world after he slapped Chris Rock in real time on live television at the Oscars Awards? That many people wrote Will Smith off, said he will never work again, that he is going to be banned from Hollywood. Well, that wasn't true. Will Smith's latest movie, Bad Boys, Ride or Die, managed to rake in over $56 million during its first weekend at the box office. And shortly thereafter, that movie has gone on to make over $100 million, and in some ways ushered in a new era for Will Smith. I'll be talking to my movie critics when we come forward about what we should expect to hear and see from Will Smith as he makes a comeback at the BET Awards this weekend. Stay with us, KBLA Talk 1580.
You're listening to Areva Martin in real time on KBLA Talk 1580.
Happy anniversary, KBLA!
KBLA Talk 1580 is now celebrating 3 years of amplifying our voice and uplifting our community. We deeply appreciate your support of this radio station and will always do our level best to earn your support. Here's to many more years of loving and serving our community. We're KBLA Talk 1580, and we've got your black.
I know it's gonna happen without you.
Girl, I have a secret. When I get stressed out, I get sweaty. That's why I use Secret Clinical Antiperspirant. It's like my own secret weapon. For 72 hours, I get Secret's strongest protection against sweat caused by stress, heat, and activity, because you know how crazy life can get. Plus, it's made with advanced odor fighters that don't just cover up smelliness. They help prevent it from happening in the first place. Believe me, if I weren't wearing Secret, I'd be a hot, smelly mess. Thankfully, Secret works.
Febreze.
So my home is also my office. And before I can focus, every room's gotta be clean. That means tidying up and spraying my Febreze Air Mist. Ooh, that's fresh. Febreze Air Mist scents are all high quality. They fight any weird funk, and they give my air an instant boost of freshness. So not only does my home smell good, I feel good too. After I Febreze, it's time to start my day.
Breathe happy, Febreze. La 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 la.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. Stay Housed LA has the resources you need to know your rights and the legal support to back them up. The COVID-19 pandemic has cost people their jobs and livelihoods. This has left an estimated 1/3 of households not being able to make rent and facing losing their homes. This is a fear no one in our community should have to face. You have rights, though, and Stay Housed LA is here to help. Stay Housed LA is a partnership between the County of Los Angeles, the City of Los Angeles, and local community and legal service providers. Together, they provide tenants with the information and support needed to exercise their rights so they can remain safely in their homes. Find out more about your rights by participating in a virtual tenant workshop. Get the legal assistance you need. Find additional resources in Los Angeles County and the City of Los Angeles. Stay connected to Stay Housed LA County for updates. This and more at stayhousedla.org. Stay connected to Stay Housed LA for updates. This and more at stayhousedla.org. That's stayhousedla.org. Or call their hotline at 213-694-0040. We've got your black with a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
During the 94th Academy Awards on March 27, 2022, actor Will Smith walked on stage and assaulted comedian Chris Rock by slapping him across the face during Rock's presentation for Best Documentary Feature. Now, this slap was in response to an unscripted joke that Rock made about Will Smith's wife, Jada Pinkett Smith. Some folks, after that smack on live television at the 94th Academy Awards, some folks thought Will Smith was banned. He would be blackballed. He would never work again in Hollywood. Now, not everyone thought that, but Will Smith is back, and he's back with a vengeance. He's back with a new movie, and he is about to be the headliner at the BET Awards in Los Angeles. And here to talk about Will Smith's comeback, to talk about the movie, Bad Boys Ride or Die, as well as what Black actors are having to do or what they are experiencing post the strike that had all actors out of work for several months. My resident film critics are joining me, Reggie Ponder and E-Man, otherwise known as Emmanuel Noisette, or maybe he's Emmanuel, otherwise known as E-Man. Either way, I'm happy to have both of them joining me this afternoon. Thank you both. I don't know, Reggie, are you in LA for the BET Awards, or will you be arriving for the awards? All right, Reggie, I'm not getting your sound yet. How about you, E-Man? Are you coming in? Let me talk with you. Are you coming in, E-Man, for the BT Awards?
Oh no, I'm broke. I ain't got no money. I got kids. I can't afford it. I'd love to. That'd be great. Somebody want to pay for that ticket and hotel, sure. But no, I'll be watching. I'll be watching.
Okay, well, since you'll be watching, what do you expect to see and hear? The word is that Will Smith is going to be dropping some new music, and people are super enthusiastic about him, being at the BET Awards. He was doing red carpets for Bad Boys. Are you surprised at all by this big comeback?
No, not at all, because let's be honest. Let's be very honest. The Black community as a whole did not really reject Will Smith. Okay, let's just be clear. I'm not saying everybody, we're not a monolith, but overall, Will Smith was somebody that had a squeaky clean record. He made obviously a mistake. He was punished. He was already, I think he showed contrition. He showed that he was extremely sincere and apologetic. And at the end of the day, we all, for the most part, already forgave him. So it's like, I don't really know what else he had to go through to get public approval for people to feel okay. Now, again, some people might feel a certain way, and that's their right. But overall, I think most people have gotten over it. So him coming back, especially in BET, he's going to be well received. I think people are going to be clapping for him. Especially off of the success of Bad Boys, which I thought was really solid. I think he's cool. I think he's fine. I don't think he's gonna have that much pushback.
You think he's good?
Yeah, he's fine. He's good.
Okay. Now. Okay. So E-Man thinks Will is back. Reggie, does that mean that he might make a comeback even with the Academy?
Well, he's gonna continue to be banned for his 10 years. They're not gonna rescind that by no stretch, because he really did mess up the broadcast, and he messed up moments for those people who came behind him. We had a black producer, we had a black guy getting ready to get his award right behind it. So he's gonna have to serve his 10 years for that. But I'm with E-Man on this forgiving thing. I think for the most part, Black folks have forgiven him. And I thought E-Man was going to say is that if we look at it in the scheme of things, when we talk about some of our herald heroes who have fallen, like a Bill Cosby, when you look at the gravity of what he did, and he slapped somebody versus what you look at Bill Cosby or a Majors, when you look at those types of things, you'll say, yeah, it wasn't right, but it wasn't like the worst offense in the world, and you should not be, your worst days don't define you. And I think that if that's his worst day, then he's going to be okay.
But what about what E-Man just said, that he has shown contrition, that he's done everything that you can humanly possibly do? He's apologized. He's, he made the scene, the kind of, publicity scene of making his apology. So why wouldn't the Academy, given how much he has added to the Academy and to the genre, to the movies, the millions and millions of dollars that he's made for, the movie industry, why wouldn't they make an exception and say, okay, his base has forgiven him, his fans have forgiven him, $56 million that first weekend for Bad Boys, folks still want to see him. Why wouldn't they give him a break and make an exception?
Well, firstly, the Academy has not always been with the times, if you want to say that. But secondly, is that once I give out the punishment, I'm not going back on it. I'm not gonna be like, oh, okay, now you look like you did okay. Chris Rock is not good with where Will Smith is. There's a lot of reports out right now that there was a slap scene in the movie, and Chris noticed it and feels that it was also a slight to the situation that happened. So Chris Rock is not good with it. There are people who support Chris Rock who are not good with it. I don't think the Academy needs to get into that. They gave him his punishment. He'll serve out that punishment. That's not going to impact his money. That's not going to impact his livelihood. The other thing that I want to mention is that his performance, his musical performance, where he broke out on Summertime and did all the other stuff, already told us that he was back. Is that people? I was excited. I was at the edge of my seat, like summer. I mean, anyway, I was really enjoying that, and so people are absolutely. BET is smart here. They knew that from a musical perspective, if they put him out there, it's going to be one of the highest rated BET shows ever. So that's what I'll say to that.
You know, I'm glad you mentioned that everybody's not okay with the smack, the slap. E-Man, there is this is a spoiler alert for anyone that hasn't seen the movie, but there is this slap scene, this moment in the movie, and the directors are saying it was improvised and it was a hit when they, tested it. And so, of course, they wanted to keep it in. But what do you think about that? Was that like another jab? Was that like, taking a knife and turning it in Chris Rock and all of his fans?
Yeah, I mean, I can't dictate how other people should feel, but I do know that at my screening, at the time when I went to go see the movie again in another theater, everybody laughed. And I think it's because people understood what was going on. Oh, Will Smith smacked Chris. We know that, that's something, a stain on his legacy. But now we're seeing Will Smith get smacked 4 times in a row. It was obviously some situational irony here. I thought it was a high-level joke, and I thought the message was received. I thought that people received it the right way. And I think it just
how did they receive it? What's the right way, E-Man? What's the right way?
Well, I think it just further demonstrates that Will understands that he was the wrong one. He deserved that punishment in that scene, or in this situation. And he found a creative way to make light of it. Him being punished again was funny. And it worked in this situation. So I think people got it for the most part. But Chris Rock, he's entitled to feel how he want to feel.
So Reggie, E-Man is saying that was kind of, some irony. And Will is, big producer in the movie. And they say it's an improvised scene. But maybe he was meant to say, you know what, Chris, I'm getting smacked, so this is kind of me getting what I deserve. Let's put it like this. I'm getting slapped on national TV. So I know what it feels too. But you just said you don't think Chris Rock received it in that way.
I've been hearing from, I didn't get to talk to Chris personally, but I've been hearing from a lot of sources that Chris is not happy with it. And I did not think that was funny. I will say to what E-Man was saying in terms of that Will Smith showed contrition. I think so. However, there, as E just said, there are a lot of people who don't think that he showed enough contrition, and particularly is that because when you do something on air to somebody, and the apology is not to that person on air is not an equal apology. I know it may never ever happen because they've probably gone behind scenes to do that. But I'm just saying there are a lot of folks saying, nah, he got one more step to do. And that one more step is to have Chris Rock in front of him and actually asking for his forgiveness. I'm not in that boat, but it has to be fair to put that argument out there.
Yeah, and like you said, at this point, it's unlikely that would ever happen. And Will Smith's team probably feels like they've done all that he can do to make a really horrible situation better. But let's talk about this movie. The movie, this franchise, Bad Boy Ride or Die is another successful entry in the franchise, earning $235.9 million at the box office against only $100 million budget. So obviously Will Smith, Martin Lawrence are big box office draw. They draw in audiences. E-Man, how do you rate this movie? Sequels can be horrible, quite frankly. It can really bomb. but folks tended to like Bad Boys Ride or Die. What was your take on it?
Yeah. Well, when it came to ranking them, I'm still, stuck with the nostalgia. The first Bad Boys is still my personal favorite for a number of reasons. I just liked how grounded it was. I loved how authentic Will and Martin's chemistry played off of each other. So that was just always a personal favorite. The third Bad Boys didn't really work out too well for me. It was a little too slapstick goofy. But this fourth one, it's like right there at the second place for me. Like I enjoyed all the action, the humor, the character development. I thought was really cool, and most importantly, I thought that this was a real treat for fans of the franchise. If you follow the franchise, they continued with the characters, they build on the storylines, and shout out to the other Reggie, who's the MVP of this movie. There were just so many feel-good moments in this film, whether it be from an entertainment, humorous standpoint, or even dramatic, that this was like a solid winner. But this is my second favorite out the franchise.
What happened, Reggie, to Teresa Randall, the beloved wife of Martin Lawrence and Bad Boy, the original, and 2 and 3? She didn't show up in 4.
Yeah. I that's a question I was asking as well. What happened there? I'm not sure, but I know in another segment we'll be talking about contracts. Some of that stuff could always have something to do with contracts. Obviously, who wants what and how much money you get and all of that, or just availability. But I don't know. I don't know what happened there. What I do want to say to about the movie is that. I enjoyed it. It so happens that I sat next to E when we watched this together, and I had some trepidation because we keep recycling the same old, and I'm like, is this going to be that? And the first scene seemed like it was going to solidify for me that we were going to be at that same old, where we're just going to have that bickering back and forth. But they really did a good job with the character development, as E said, and the chemistry between Martin and Will was right there. I think they did a really smart thing that I really want to mention, because I think that Martin is slowing down, and it does seem like he was a bit off. And I think from an editing perspective and also from a script perspective, that they did a good job of making him have a near-death experience, which gave him a different type of humor and a different type of relevance to the movie. And then finally, I just want to say is that the two of them didn't have to carry this movie by themselves. They had a ensemble cast who at moments did what they needed to do. They brought the captain back. Tiffany Haddish was only on screen for a minute, but it was hilarious. They had John Sally back. They had DJ Khaled, another one, and then of course Dennis Green, who plays Reggie. So and they had Hudgens, the whole crew, but they had a number of people to make it where everything wasn't on their shoulders, and I think they did a good job with that.
Yeah, what did you make of Tasha Smith, E-Man? She is the replacement for Teresa Randall. Obviously, very accomplished actress, has been in a lot of film and TV.
Mm-hmm. First of all, I'm a fan of hers in general. So to me, I felt that loss of having her not be there, but Tasha came in, she stepped up. I mean, she did it. Her chemistry with Martin obviously worked. And that's honestly all that you really care about. I mean, I think as an audience, whenever a character is recast, we are sophisticated enough to understand, that's a different person. But we already suspended belief that we're watching something fictional anyway. Can they work? And she did work. So all was fine. I mean, it was a little awkward at first, but I think after 2-3 lines, you get over it, and it worked.
Yeah, and I want to chime in here is that when you look at characters, you see that Gabrielle Union is not there. So there's people asking that question as well. So what happened to Gabrielle Union? He got a sister. Now there's a mention of her in the movie, but I'm just saying that I with E, I mean, things change, things happen, and they figure out how to mesh it together and make it work. They did a good job with this. And currently, the movie is at $289 million internationally, and that would put it second of all the movies. The other thing is that when you look at Rotten
Which
Tomatoes,
one is the first one, Reggie? Which is the first
the
in terms of box office?
the first for the box office is 3.
It's 3.
Yeah, 3 did well. I think if I'm correct, it was like 400 million, over 400 million internationally, worldwide for that particular one. And from a Rotten Tomatoes perspective, this one was the highest rated one from the audience. It's at 97% from the audience. We as critics don't know nothing because we scored at 44, 24, 76, and 64. And the audience scored it higher at every stage. So the audience loves it.
Yeah, I just want to go back real quickly to what Chris Rock is thinking. Chris Rock apparently told news reporters that he thought the slap scene was tasteless and an attempt by Will Smith to address the incident humorously. He finds the scene to be a cheap stunt and is unimpressed by Smith's efforts to turn the lowest point of his career into a joke. That's what Will Smith is facing from Chris Rock. When we come forward, more on Will Smith's big comeback, as well as what's happening to Black actors who work in TV and film. Seems like many are struggling to get work post the strike, but Black actors on Broadway are having a moment. Stay with us, KBLA Talk 1580, when we come forward.
More of Areva Martin in real time when we come forward.
I'm Tyreek Wynn. Here's the latest on the Black Information Network. Dozens of protesters gathered outside the Manhattan, New York DA's office on Monday to voice their disapproval of the dropping charges against many who demonstrated during the Columbia University Hamilton Hall occupation. The protest was driven by a group called End Jew Hate. Vice President Harris, who is Black, is standing up for reproductive rights following a campaign appearance in Phoenix, Arizona. Harris was in Phoenix Monday on 2-year anniversary of Roe versus Wade being overturned, continuing to take full court press on the issue. Chicago, Illinois United Center is beginning to transform for this summer's Democratic National Convention. Monday was move-in day as the arena was being converted into a national stage. Starting August 19th, close to 5,000 delegates from across the nation will arrive in Chicago, joined by 5,000 visitors to officially nominate Joe Biden and Kamala Harris for re-election. That's the latest. I'm Tyreek Wynn on your home for 24/7 News, the Black Information Network, and BINnews.com.
Over in Monrovia, a 3-vehicle accident on the right shoulder of the 210 East of Mountain Avenue. And right now, expect a 20-minute backup from Mountain Seco Street interchange. There's also a big rig involved, the accident on the right shoulder of Pasadena's 210 West before Hill Avenue. And watch for heavy traffic coming from Sierra Madre Villa Avenue, Madre Street interchange. In Diamond Bar, on the 57 north of the 60 Pomona Freeway, expect a 15 to 20-minute backup as an accident in the Center Divide. Then back in Long Beach now on the 710 north before PCH, watch for an accident blocking the right lane with heavy traffic coming from Pico Avenue.
Grab a proper breakfast with Wendy's new $3 English muffin breakfast deal. Limited time only. U.S. price and participation may vary. Select a request English muffin deal to obtain discount. Not valid for a la carte or combo orders. Single item at regular price.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The NBA draft is Wednesday and Thursday, but Saturday could be a more important day for the Lakers and Clippers. Saturday is the deadline for LeBron James and Paul George to decide on player options with their contracts. If LeBron and George decide not to accept their player options, both will become unrestricted free agents. They would have the freedom to sign with any team. LeBron's option for next season is $51.4 million. George is due $48.8 million with the Clippers next season. Bad behavior in the offseason by NFL players has some serious consequences. The Kansas City Chiefs cut defensive lineman Isaiah Buggs after he was arrested twice in Alabama. One of the arrests was for domestic violence and burglary, the other for animal cruelty. The New York Jets cut defensive back Tay Hayes after he was arrested in Alabama for marijuana possession. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
Follow the leader. KBLA Talk 1580. Follow the leader.
If you're not following KBLA Talk 1580 on all of our socials, then you're missing out. Download our app and find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and on the web at KBLA 1580.
That's right.
Again, you can find all of our socials at KBLA 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
By the way, if you miss any of our weekday shows in real time, you can always catch up by checking out the podcast of your favorite shows at your leisure. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black.
Got your black.
Keep following the leader.
Oh my God. Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader.
Linking social justice and climate justice all year long.
We're unapologetically progressive.
KBLA Talk 1580.
Looks like Bobby needs a ride again.
Grab the keys. Let's take Auntie to the swap meet. Grab the keys.
Whether you're giving rides or hauling gear, do it all in a Chevy SUV. Head to your local Chevy dealer, where well-qualified buyers get 1.9% financing on all 2024 Malibu, Colorado, Blazer, Equinox, Trailblazer, and Traverse limited models. Chevrolet, together, let's drive.
1.9% APR for 36 months. Monthly payment is $2,860 for every $1,000 you finance. Example down payment 15.8% must finance with GM Financial. Some customers may not qualify. Not available with lease and some other offers. Take new retail delivery by 7/1/24.
Have you been a victim of discrimination at a private business, by a landlord while seeking housing, by an employer, or by an academic institution? If so, the LA Civil Rights Department may be able to help. Please contact us at CRE@lacity.org or call 213-978-1845. Again, 213-978-1845 or visit laisforeveryone.com.
Yeah. The California Crusader newspaper would like to thank all of our subscribers for their support throughout the years, proudly serving the South Los Angeles and South Bay areas for more than 40 years. The California Crusader is a multicultural, Black-owned, adjudicated newspaper that focuses on providing newsworthy information to the people in our community. We're constantly looking for ways to assist businesses in our community to connect with our subscribers. We provide low-cost, effective ways to promote your business with our reasonable and affordable advertising rates. You can participate by suggesting, sharing, and submitting your stories on the California Crusader newspaper Community Share Facebook group page, or visit our website at cal-cruise-news.com. That's calcruisenews.com. Then click on the Submit Now button located on the top right corner of the homepage, or text CCN to 42828. Again, text CCN to 42828. The California Crusader newspaper, working together to build a better community for our future. Subscribe today.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
We are back and we're talking about Will Smith and his big comeback, also talking about what's going on in Hollywood with respect to other Black actors, because although 300 million plus is the haul for Bad Boys, Ride or Die, that's not really what's happening with a lot of Black actors and actresses. Reggie Ponder and E-Man, our resident film critics, are joining us. So Reggie, yes, Will Smith, Martin Lawrence, big blockbuster movie, 56 million the first weekend, and now you said it's over 350 plus million dollars for this movie. It's clearly going to exceed 400, maybe get to 500 million before it's all said and done. So those guys are working, but I've been running into a lot of Black actors in LA, friends of mine, who are saying it's rough out here, that they are having a real time finding projects. So what's going on?
Yeah, I mean, there's just so many things going on. First, when the streaming companies came in, it seemed like money was going to be aplenty. Is that everybody was thinking, oh man, this is about to go well. But the streaming companies even found out that they couldn't sustain what they were doing, and the strike and COVID really put a strain on all of these entities, and there's just a contraction in the industry, and they're actually calling that it's a contraction. Is that everybody's pulling back. When you look at the contracts, or even, I know you had people on here talking about the contracts that the actors and directors and everybody that were fighting for. When you look at what they were fighting for, one of the things is that the seasons on television used to be anywhere from 22 to 28 episodes. Now the seasons are 6 to 8 episodes, and you can't even wait. You be sitting up there like, when is the next 6 or next 8 coming out? E-Man be like ready, be like, when is my next 8 Marvel stuff coming out? Well, it might not come out for a full year later, and so if it's only 6 or 8, people cannot make a living on that 6 or 8. And if it's with the streaming companies, it's even worse because you don't get paid residuals for those 6 or 8. See, if it's on network TV, you'll get money from the rerun. So these people were having a hard time even making their union dues or making their union requirements. The industry has contracted, and I'll stop there and let E-Man jump in.
Yeah, that's really scary. Go ahead, E-Man. What's your take on it?
No, I mean, Reggie hit the nail on the head. I mean, the whole industry is changing, especially when it comes to streaming, right? Like the days of Friends and Seinfeld and, you know, the syndicated sitcoms, those days are over. Actors are not getting those $10 million per episode contracts anymore. The mere fact that pilots are no longer really being shot as often as they used to be, which used to be a good way for actors to at least get something on their resume, at least to, you know, maintain their SAG-AFTRA status, keep their health care and all that. Those things are going away. And then on top of that, with streaming becoming a thing, the studios are tightening up those pocketbooks. They're not spending the ridiculous amounts of money on the shows. As Reggie mentioned, the episodes are getting shorter. And because they're getting shorter, the studios are finding other ways to maybe not pay as many people. They're hiring more local talent. I mean, out here in Chicago Med, Chicago NPMD, whatever Chicago label TV show there is, they're hiring other Chicago talent. They're hiring local, so they don't have to fly people out. They don't have to keep specific actors in a recurring role. They could just have them be constant guest stars instead. So the studios are doing so many things to save money on their end. It's obviously going to have a negative impact on the actors along the way.
And the thing about this, Areva, is the reverberations are huge when we talk about how it affects everybody else in the industry. The writers were fighting for a reason. They're like, if we're only getting 6 or 8 episodes, we can't make a living on that. Then the camera people are fighting for a reason. They're like, if I'm only working 6 or 8 episodes, then we can't. The casting people they're getting other jobs. There are people just leaving.
Well, Reggie, are we seeing, since we have shorter, seasons, right? So a season, as you said, used to be 22, 28 episodes. Are we seeing budgets that are higher for a smaller number of episodes? So let's say, that show that was 22 is now down to 10 episodes. Is that per episode cost, though, greater, such that, they're not saving a lot of money in the long run because they're paying more for 10 than they pay for 22?
No. And that's how they're saving money. I mean, they're saving money because they, let's just say that if it costs $100 million to make an episode, and that's low because some of the actors were getting paid $100 million. So I'm just saying, let's just say it costs $100 million per episode. If that's the case, and you had 22 episodes, then you do the math. They're not doing that. They're saying, look, fewer episodes. Let's make it tighter. Have fewer people and fewer headline people, meaning I forgot what the term is, but there's this term that says that you're a major character, and you just downgrade these characters so that they're not reoccurring characters. They're like ancillary characters now. So no, they're saving money on that. And then if they are paying somebody $100 million, to E-Man's point, they're trying to get as many of the other folks as they can. So that means that I can now be on the episode. I think I'm gonna go down to Chicago Med and see if I can, because they'll pay me a couple of dollars to do that. But that's what they're doing. They're not spending the same amount. They're not taking the total budget saying, hey, last year we had $1 billion to spend on episodes, and so since we're only doing 8, we're still going to spend $1 billion. That's not how it's working. No, they're spending.
This is sounding a lot like E-Man to me, like what we hear about professional sports teams, where you got the big mega star, the LeBron James, the Kobe Bryants, the Michael Jordans, who are, getting mega money. And then you have a lot of what I guess folks call the line players who, make some money, but, relatively small amounts compared to those big stars. And then you have a really short-lived career, even, being a line player. Is that the way the industry is going? So you're going to have this really small group of A-listers that command all the money, and then these working actors barely get anything. And then if they're not having as many episodes, so if you were a season regular but you weren't the star, by definition, you have fewer episodes on which to be, come back on, to recur, to be recurring on.
It's a little interesting, right? Because back in the day, if you were like, let's say, a movie star, you're not doing TV. Like, that's below you, right? But obviously, when it comes to streaming, it's opening different pathways. And then, of course, you have all the different factors of how sometimes streaming gets more viewers and attention and more popularity than movies do. We already see that even in Hollywood, the movie star is not really a thing anymore. And because of the fact that seasons are getting shorter, episodes are getting shorter, you only have a certain amount of A-listers out there who, let's just say back in the day, hey, I'm only taking $5 million per episode. That's my rate. The studios are like, okay, we'll just go to the next one. Because there's a lot of people not working because of this new restructuring. The studios have their pick. Like, oh, if we can't get Jake, we'll get Johnny. We can't get Susie, we'll get Jennifer. And it's okay. And now it's kind of like, well, maybe I do need to lower my rate so I could keep working. So even the A-listers have to make different decisions at this point. Again, because the industry is changing.
And to your point about movie stars, you can have, let me just say, to your point about movie stars, there are so many actors because there's so much content. But boy, it takes a lot to get to know someone, for them to become a household name in this environment. And you'll hear someone, they say, well, they've been on a long list of shows. You're like, never heard of them. Like,
it's a lot to go
which, begs the question, Reggie, where are these people, how are they getting their money to pay their bills if they're not doing 22 episodes?
Well, LA has one of the highest homeless rates in the nation. And it's not by accident, because there are a lot of people who used to come to LA to do waitressing and all that other type of stuff to get a job, but they're not getting those jobs. They're not getting the pallets. They're just not getting the types of things that give them hope to stay in that. I read an article that talked about how casting agents are leaving the city, saying like, I cannot pay my bills living in the Los Angeles area. Just can't do it.
Wow. Well, it's as tough as it is right now. And like I said, I have so many stories of my own friends who are saying, like, where are the jobs? Like, they're just sitting around. They're hustling other things. They're hosting charity events. They are making appearances when folks open offices and do ribbon cutting, things that will get them appearance fees because they're not getting that consistent work. But despite that, Black Broadway theatrical actors seem to be having a moment. When we come forward, we're going to talk about what's going on with Broadway actors and productions right here on KBLA Talk 1580. Stay with us.
You're listening to Areva Martin in real time on KBLA Talk 1580.
Tips to help improve basic steps for building a budget in 2024. Building a budget can help you achieve and reach your financial goals. With a budget, you can keep track of your spending, avoid and get out of debt, limit overspending, pay bills on time, and build solid savings habits. What's the best way to get started? Figure out how much to set aside for expenses like rent, mortgage, bills, groceries, and entertainment. Understanding your past financial habits can help you make the proper adjustments for your budget. Adjusting to a budget can take time as you work to find the right balance, but keep working on it. For more financial health tips, visit chase.com or stop by a local branch. This segment is sponsored by JP Morgan Chase & Company.
The news on vapes talks a lot about the technology and teen use, but parents need to know more about the dangers of nicotine. So know this. 1. Nicotine is a poison that can rewire teens' brains. 2. It can increase mood swings. 3. It can limit attention and learning. So even when it comes in new tech, nicotine is brain poison. Go to undo.org for more.
Tune in to More Than That live this weekend or wherever you listen to podcasts. This episode of More Than That is sponsored by Kroger, working to increase access to fresh and healthy food in our local communities. Kroger, fresh for everyone.
I have diabetes. I'm at risk for pneumococcal pneumonia.
I have asthma. I'm at risk too.
If you're 19 or older with chronic conditions like asthma, diabetes, COPD, or heart disease, or are 65 or older, you are at increased risk for pneumococcal pneumonia. Ask your doctor or pharmacist about Prevnar 20, pneumococcal 20-valent conjugate vaccine, a Pfizer vaccine that can help protect you against pneumococcal pneumonia in just one dose. Even if you've already been vaccinated with other pneumonia vaccines, Prevnar 20 may help provide added protection. Prevnar 20 is approved for adults to help prevent infections from 20 strains of the bacteria that cause pneumococcal pneumonia. Continued approval may depend on a supportive study. Don't get Prevnar 20 if you've had a severe allergic reaction to the vaccine or its ingredients. Adults with weakened immune systems may have a lower response to the vaccine. Side effects include pain and swelling at the injection site, fatigue, headache, muscle, and joint pain. For full prescribing information, please call 1-855-213-2138 or visit Prevnar20.com.
We are back with E-Man and Reggie Ponder talking about Black actors, the time that they're having in this new era, many of them unemployed, quite frankly, many of them not finding the kinds of projects they used to find, not getting paid the rates that they used to get paid. We remember that very emotional plea from Taraji Henson a couple of months ago, talking about how difficult it is for Black actors and how there's this myth out there that they're making all this money. It really broke down for us, how underpaid they are compared to their white peers. But there's an article out that says Black actors on Broadway, those that do theater, Reggie, are having a moment. What's going on Broadway that's so different than what we're seeing in film and television?
I think a couple of things. It's interesting. E-Man said that when these movie people were on doing their movie stuff, they wouldn't want to do TV. Some of them didn't want to do a Broadway. Some of them didn't want to go to the stage. People looking for work. So I just want to put that out there first, is that the people are looking for work. So the availability of some of these top name actors, you would have never seen the availability of some of these people on Broadway. I get to see Denzel on Broadway. Are you kidding? Back in the day, Denzel wouldn't have been on Broadway because he wouldn't have to be. He wouldn't have to do the grind. Broadway is a grind to do that day in and day out. So I want to put that out first. The second thing is that there's a dwindling old audience for Broadway. That audience is old. They have to figure out how do we get Rob put out there, Denzel started on Broadway. He did. But I was using him as an example, saying movie stars wouldn't be out there. But also the audience is old, is getting old. So how do you get new people into the fold? The way you're going to get new people in the fold is through who is shaping culture these days. Well, who's shaped culture most days? Black folks. So get some black. We're shaping it in all kinds of ways, from a musical perspective, from a fashion perspective, from a thought perspective. So let some of those folks bring in some of the people who are following them, and the people who are following them are not all Black. So when you put a Denzel on Broadway, you're going to get a lot of Black folks that are going to come. You're going to get a lot of young people that's going to come, but you're also going to get a lot of other people that's going to come as well. So there's this demand as well that impacts that. And there's some other factors, but we're going to go to the smarter person than me, which is E-Man, and he'll throw you some more knowledge there as well.
Yeah, what's happening, email, some of these plays that were written for white actors after George Floyd's murder, during this racial reckoning, there was a big push to, make more roles available for black actors. And that's starting to pay off because you're seeing black actors show up in plays that I'm sure 10, 15 years ago they would have never been. Reggie says folks need work, so they're going wherever the work is. Is that your take on it as well?
Yeah, and I'm here for the racial reckoning. I've been here for any and all racial reckoning. So anything that's going to equalize and just bring some equilibrium to the equality of the DEI and all that CRT, I'm here for all of the letters, okay? So, but yeah, I mean, we have, Audra McDonald, Wendell Pierce, who I loved him on The Wire, but the man was so talented. He had recently done Death of a Salesman. But what I like about this, and we see this also with Wicked, Cynthia Erivo, she's doing she's in Wicked now. You have obviously Halle Bailey doing the Black Little Mermaid. But what all of these things do that I like is that it forces new audiences and maybe even old ones to recontextualize what these characters may be bringing to the table. Seeing a Wendell Pierce play that character and then now looking at him as like, wait a minute, how would a black man in 1940 deal with the situation in the world that he's living in at that time? But I'll say one thing though, while I love all of this and I like what it does for the actors, I like what it does for the audience, I do have a concern because just like in politics, just like in society, anytime we take a step forward, there's going to be some sort of white backlash that will happen. I don't know where it's going to happen. I've seen little elements of that in the studios. I've seen there was like with Disney not too long ago, you had a certain stockholder, Nelson Peltz, who was sitting here like, why we got to have all these women in here? What are we doing with all these blacks in these movies and stuff? Black Panther? Why? So I just know that this is going to be something that comes mainly because while this country as a whole has always talked about wanting diversity and being a big mixing bowl, a boiling pot or whatever.
Melting pot of people. Mixing bowl.
We've never actually envisioned what that looks like. So every time we get a little bit closer, every time we show more people, every time we do intersectionality, people are like scared. People get like caught off guard. So I like this progress, but I am concerned about what might come after it.
Well, we do show up and show out in whatever space and place we find ourselves. 6 of the last 8 Pulitzer Prizes for drama have been won by Black writers. 6 of 8. So if there is going to be a backlash, you got it. And white writers, playwriters are now saying, wait a minute, that was our domain. Let those Black people stay in those, goofy sitcoms. Let them do Good Times or whatever they do on television. Don't come over here messing with us, on Broadway, because when we show up, we just do the thing, Reggie. And so 6 of the 8, I mean, that is some kind of, Black excellence. That's Black excellence on steroids. And E-Man, you're probably right.
I was gonna say it is. And when you look at what happens with the Tonys and what happened this year with the Tonys is that not only the writer, it's not just the writers who are understanding the opportunity here. Let me think. Alicia Keys, what's her play? Oh, Hell's Kitchen. Alicia says we can do some too. So and
guess what? Alicia said I can have Jay-Z show up at the Tonys to rock with me.
And you see, my girl gets to host it for what is this second time in a row? I mean, I'm just saying that there is this reckoning of saying let's be more inclusive, but I also think that a lot of us are saying, no, we ain't waiting for y'all to be inclusive. We gonna bring this to y'all. We come in full force in every way possible. You know, you look at a Danielle Brooks, you know, and what she did, and then now she's doing the move. I just think that the actors are saying, okay, we here. There is that work thing, but they're saying we're here and we're here to do it. I do want to say something to E-Man's point about that they didn't envision what it will look like. Well, there's always been that argument about the melting pot and the salad bowl. They envisioned what the melting pot looked like. They did. They thought the melting pot looked like you come and look like the rest of the people. Mm-hmm. But what they didn't understand is that the salad bowl is happening. And the salad bowl means that a tomato tastes like a tomato.
Yeah,
it doesn't taste like it's just been thrown up in a little soup pot, and so it's that melting pot versus salad bowl. And I think that it really does scare a whole lot of people because those flavors, that culture, that stuff that we bring to the party really does come out. And I did see Death of a Salesman, and I'm gonna tell you, they killed it. The whole Black family doing Death of a Salesman on Broadway. Oh man, it was fantastic. It was fabulous.
Powerful. Real quickly, E-Man, 30 seconds. What Black movies or movies with Black actors should we be watching for this summer?
I mean, coming up just this week, you got Lupita Nyong'o in A Quiet Place, day one. So you got that right now.
Axel F.
All right, we have to leave it there. Thank you. Got to have you guys back once that drops, coming out this weekend probably. Thank you so much, Reggie. Always a pleasure, E-Man, to be in conversation with both of you. We are so much smarter when we are in conversation with you. Stay with us. Robin Ayers in the Raw Report coming up. KBLA Talk 1580.